And I went through this period of really low self-esteem. And subhanAllah, a very interesting thing is what changed that. So I was about 15 or 16, and I went to a girls' camp. And they do this every year with the teenage girls in the Mormon church. They go off for a week to have a camp. And every year there's a theme for the camp. And that year the theme was a mighty change of heart. And it's based off of one of their scriptures that essentially says, if you are having doubts in the religion, you just need to have a mighty change of heart, and then you'll start to believe again, right? And so the whole week I just felt so awful about myself, that I wasn't open enough, that I wasn't good enough. That's why I'm not having this mighty change of heart. And I felt really horrible about myself. And on the last day, it was just the epitome of bad days, because they had a huge program. And everyone was singing, and there were plays about mighty change of heart. And I just felt it's because I wasn't good enough. And for some reason, I wasn't having this, but I wanted to. And so I made the choice to kind of walk off by myself. You're not really supposed to do that, but I just needed to breathe. So I walk off by myself outside, and I'm basically just talking to God in my heart. And I'm like, okay, if this church is true, just let me know it. Just let me accept it. And whatever I don't understand, I will have the patience to understand later. And I'm feeling nothing, nothing, nothing. And then I get this feeling to kneel down on the ground, on friggin' dirt, and put my head on the earth. And what I later found out was called sujud. And subhanAllah, like, when my head was on that earth, I felt salam. I felt peace. And I didn't think I was a bad person anymore. But I didn't feel like the Mormon church was true. And I stayed there for a while, and then I came back up. And I still felt that salam. But I didn't feel the Mormon church was true. And so I walked forward that day feeling more comfortable with myself, to embrace my doubts and to think more critically. And as a teenager, I explored a lot of different faiths. And so to talk about how I started to learn about Islam, I'll need to rewind a little bit. So the sujood, actually, I didn't really even think about till after I became a Muslim and learned what it was, subhanAllah. But my first exposure to Islam was unfortunately through 9/11. I was in grade school, and once again, because Utah was such a closed-off society, there were no other Muslims there, of course. There was a lot of just hate, shooting right up. And for some reason, I knew these Muslims weren't all terrorists, and they didn't all abuse women. And I would argue with people about this and say, you can't speak about other human beings this way. But interest in Islam started more academically when I was in the 9th grade. We had a world civilizations class everyone was required to take, and we had a lesson about Islam one day. And I remember we brought in a special presenter, and the presenter played the eذان in class. And this was before YouTube, so it wasn't a very good recording, and the speakers weren't too great. And so when he played it, it didn't sound too well. And everyone freaks out, and all the students are covering their ears. And I had this jerk reaction to cover mine as well, but I felt, no, I need to listen to this. So I kept my hands down, and I listened to the eذان. And after that, I was just sort of interested in Islam academically. So I began learning about the Middle East. I got really into what was going on in Israel and Palestine. I started to learn Arabic. I learned how to read and write myself from watching YouTube videos. And Islam, I just enjoyed learning about it. I started to read the Quran. I thought Ramadan was very interesting. But I never seriously thought about it as a religion for myself. When I went to college, I chose to study Arabic for my language, and I majored in international studies. And I met a lot of Muslims in my classes who were very good and very patient with my many questions. Alhamdulillah, I was guided to very good Muslims who were very knowledgeable and had the best of akhlaq. In the Quran, right before I converted, I was influenced by in Surah Shurah, where it says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. And at that time, it was just very uplifting for me. I was going through a lot of changes and struggles, and college is always hard. But it was a nice reminder that even though there's these hardships, مع العسر there's yusra, there's ease with it. And it helped me to realize that there's going to be hard things, but there's always easy things at the same time, and to focus on looking at the glass as half full.